It's tax season here in the US, and if your inbox looks anything like mine, it's flooded with emails from your accountants, maybe your lawyers, maybe some HR department, maybe even the IRS. And that is exactly what hackers are counting on right now. It's when the whole country is expecting emails with PDF attachments, with things to sign, in the same 2 to 4 week period, that is a goldmine of just people ready to click the wrong thing. In the last few days, Microsoft has put out a bunch of threat intel about multiple phishing campaigns going on at exactly this very moment. Spoofing emails from the IRS, including PDFs with QR codes for people to scan. One even had a fake DocuSign. These scams are very successful. They've gotten thousands of people to fall for them just in the last few weeks. And when people fall for these attacks, often they're giving them their full credentials to their email boxes or more, a lot of sensitive information that you would normally just give to the IRS, or a lot of times you're downloading malware and giving them full access to your computers, where they can install keyloggers and monitor everything you type from there on. These aren't amateur scammers. They're using professional phishing as a service and other red teaming toolkits that are professionally designed templates and infrastructure just to fool you to clicking or downloading whatever they're peddling. A lot of them even abuse legitimate services like Dropbox or Google redirectors. Some of them are even delivering their malware via Firebase. So in this video, I want to break down the recent intel of the current attacks that we have going on tax season 2025 right now. I'm going to show you some examples of these real world attacks going on right now. I'm going to tell you how they work, what the hackers' goals are, what they're trying to do, and I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself from this. I've been in cybersecurity over 15 years. People used to pay me to hack into their networks and their companies and show them how I did it. And I've been trusted to help protect startups all the way up to the biggest banks in the world. And I want to help you not fall for these scams this tax season. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, thank you for Microsoft Threat Intel for putting out such a detailed report. The other audience I hope is watching right now is actual security engineers, because reports like these have the indicators of compromise that you need to check on your network if your employees are falling for this scam, to help protect your organization, not just your employees. So right off the bat, the first campaign that they talk about is delivering 2 different popular red teaming tools. And Microsoft is actually attributing this campaign to a threat actor they call Storm 0249. I couldn't find a whole lot of other intel about this threat actor, but apparently they are an access broker that's been active since 2021. If you're unfamiliar, an access broker is a group of hackers that get initial access to a whole bunch of computers or organizations and then sell that access. They broker that access. So here are some of the exact email subjects that they used in this campaign. They sent out thousands of emails starting back in February. Notice IRS has flagged an issue with your tax filing. Unusual activity detected in your IRS filing. Important action required. IRS audit. And in all of these emails, they have an attached PDF with some sort of IRS verification form. This is really tricky, right? Because they're playing on your emotion of, oh man, I filed my taxes and I did something wrong. I need to go see what I need to do to fix this. Within this PDF, the PDF itself wasn't malicious, but within this PDF, there was a double-click URL that used a rebrandly URL shortened link, which then redirected people to a fake DocuSign page. I'll show you the page in a second. It was hosted on a domain that looked like DocuSign's domain. A lot of times these phishing domains will be just like a letter off. It'll be like verify-docusign.org or something. And then this malware was smart. If the user fell for it and clicked the download button on the DocuSign page, it would go a few different routes depending on the level of protection that person's computer had. They said the outcome depended on whether the system and IP address were allowed to access the next stage based on filtering or rules or firewalls or whatever it was. If permitted, they got some JavaScript from Firebase, which brought this malware onto their machine, and then even brought another tool that was used to stage future attacks. Like I said, this was an access broker. If that JavaScript was blocked for whatever reason, the user just received a benign PDF. This served as a decoy to evade detection by security systems. All right, so let's take a quick look at this actual email. So it says, our system has detected a discrepancy in your last tax return. As a result, your file is currently under review. To avoid penalties and suspension of your social security number, **SSN, please review and submit the attached IRS verification form and send it within 48 hours. They're instilling a sense of urgency. Hey, you messed up. You got to fix this right now or we'll suspend your social security number. That's pretty awesome. Respectfully, giant IRS thumbnail. All right, this isn't the most convincing phishing email I've ever seen, but if you received this and you were worried about your filing for whatever reason, I could see how this would catch people off guard. The fake DocuSign that came up looked like this. This looks like a legit DocuSign page, right? Generally, DocuSigns, you're going to like electrically sign something, not come to this download thing. But I've seen weird file format stuff that say you got to download stuff and you can't do an e-signature. So I understand how people would have fallen for this, especially if the URL looked convincing. I won't go into all the nerdy details about the malware, but if you're in security engineering, I'll include a link to this Intel report in the description below. It's really amazing how advanced malware is getting at evading detection, creating persistence, and then the command and control stuff is always just super creative. Everything's a C2 if you try hard enough. All right, the next campaign I wanted to tell you about includes this Raccoon O365 infrastructure. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, these are not amateurs. This Raccoon O365 is a professional phishing as a service platform. So these hackers are paying money to this Raccoon O365 organization in order to use this platform to then go out and try to use that in their phishing campaigns to steal people's Microsoft credentials. In this one, the PDF attachment was also benign, but it just had a QR code in it. I'm guessing this is also to evade detection. A lot of email security tools out there can scan an email for malicious URLs, can even scan attachments that are in that email for malicious URLs. But I've only seen a few of the modern email tools out there that are actually then going and analyzing QR codes if they find those. And even those, now that I mention it, are just analyzing the QR codes in the emails. I'm not sure if they can analyze the QR codes in the attachment. That might be why this attacker is doing this. Any of you watching that have used Sublime or Material or Abnormal or any of these new ones, let me know if they can catch that QR code in the attachment. Shout out to my homies at all those spots. So this QR code pointed to this Raccoon O365 domain called shared documents O365 cloud auth storage.com. All right, so this was a throw everything you possibly can in the domain name to confuse people tactic. The URL included a parameter somewhere in the URL, so each PDF was unique to the recipient of that email. And then, like I said, this phishing kit mimics Microsoft 365 sign-in pages to the pixel. So when you landed on this page, it would look exactly like your normal Microsoft login page. Sometimes these things are actually using a tool called Evil Engine X, which is a phishing proxy. So what you're looking at actually is the legitimate login page. You're just looking at it on a phishing domain, which is then passing the creds to the legitimate login page. So you don't even know that that whole proxy thing just happened. So it said the email was sent via a bunch of different display names. Here were some examples: employee tax refund report, project funding request, budget allocation, insurance payment schedule, invoice price, HR employee handbooks. So again, you could just see, preying on the season that it is, you're expecting to probably get a document like this. And these emails look, of course, as legit as they come. Oh, it's a PDF. So of course, some Adobe tool has shared some Q1 tax refund report.pdf. So right here in this box was a QR code. And when you scan that QR code, you wound up on that phishing domain that I mentioned earlier. Here's the next one. This one, they're actually using malicious Excel files. All right, let's look at the example first. I feel like it's actually better to start with the example. So this one looks way better than the original IRS email, right? That other one that like threatened to suspend your social security number and then just had like a picture of the IRS in the signature. This looks way more legit. It's letterhead instead of just a PNG at the bottom. It's even got like official irs.gov links in the bottom. Hey, this email was sent by the Internal Revenue Service. Please always verify before clicking links. Look, you can trust us. We're warning you. Please verify before clicking links. Way better than the one above. The subject line that they were using in this campaign was IRS refund eligibility notification. The sender was Jessica Lee at eboxsystems.com. So look out in your inbox for those indicators. And here's a tricky thing. So if you looked at the link on this thing to download this Excel spreadsheet, you would see that it was from google.com or business.google.com to be specific. And you'd say, well, I trust Google. But what's actually going on here is they're using this as an open redirector. So this website shared launch BW, whatever. And then the actual page that they're sending you to is here in the parameter. So this history of PIA.com is the actual scam site that they're sending you to via an open redirect on Google, at which point you do grab this Excel tax refund eligibility document, which does include the malware. So if you open the Excel file, they were prompted to enable macros. This is a common technique for malware. And if you enable those macros, you would get the malicious file downloaded and run on your machine. Again, some of the nerdy details, they would use auto hotkey scripts here. It would automatically start receiving commands from the command server. And it looked like in this campaign, they were specifically downloading screenshots straight from the compromised machine. If you're interested, here's the macro code used to install that malware. All right, we got one more example here. This one was pretty good too. So in this one, it was actually multiple stage. So there was actually a benign email to just garner some trust. There's no attachment in this email. It's not trying to get you to do anything. But this one is actually targeting CPAs. Again, these people are probably a wealth of sensitive information if compromised. They were doing a bunch of people's taxes right now. And so the initial email was just saying, hey, I need your services for my 2024 tax return. I'm changing CPA due to lack of negligence, and a little error in my last year tax return. I think lack of negligence is good. Guys, ChatGPT can write your phishing emails. What are you doing? I can send you my 2023 tax return, my 2024 tax documents to know your price. All right, sidebar. This is embarrassing. When I get asked if AI is impacting cybersecurity at all, the number one thing that I mention is the fact that all hackers now have a native English speaking phishing email writer at their behest. One of the telltale signs of a phishing email is kind of like broken grammar in English. I don't know what we're doing here. Okay. Once responded to that first benign email that had no malware, no attachments in it at all, at that point, they send the actual payload. At this point, they're using Dropbox to download a malicious zip file. So the PDF has an attachment in it. It's got an embedded URL. If the attachment's open and then the URL is clicked, they get this malicious zip file from Dropbox. This file creates a bunch of .lnk link files. They're mimicking tax document. But at the end of the day, they're going to download a bat file and it's going to turn into a bunch of malware. The tricky part was the attached PDF actually looked like this. This is pretty tricky. So it's like fake blurred out with a download link in front of it. I don't know. I kind of like this one. Okay, broken English person, you redeemed yourself. That's a pretty tricky PDF. And again, this is pretty advanced malware. They're really good at evading whatever defenses you do have on your system and then maintaining persistent access to your device to either use later or sell later. All right, so a lot of the mitigation guidance that's in this report is for if you work in security. This is the kinds of things that you need to look for in your O365 logs and your Microsoft Defender logs, and kinds of controls that you can put in place to just stop these scams along the way. There's some Microsoft features in here that you can obviously take advantage of, but the one I'm going to call out for everyone, I don't care if you work in security or not, is to get yourself some sort of phishing-proof multi-factor authentication. For me, that's a YubiKey, because at that point, even if they do steal your credentials, if you fall for that phishing page that you land on, they're not going to be able to access their account if they don't have access to your physical YubiKey that you have on your keychain or at your desk. This is better than something like a two-factor code on your phone or something that gets texted to you, because if you fell for the whole phishing thing, there's a chance that you'll fall for whatever they ask for that code. If they call you, they might ask for that code over the phone, or part of the scam might have you enter that code somewhere in their system. These phishing as a service platforms are really good at intercepting those MFA codes. That's why using a phishing proof hardware token like a YubiKey is superior to that. I just realized I had the wrong bullet highlighted. This is just MFA. This is phishing resistant authentication methods, which is what I'm talking about. They're also encouraging people to use the most up-to-date version of their browser, Edge. I don't use Edge, but a lot of modern browsers do have these scam detection screens. These phishing sites, as soon as they're used, they are reported. And all these major companies out there, Google, Microsoft, Apple, collect a lot of the known bad sites, and they will warn users if you go to a bad location. The issue is these attackers are very fast, and by the time they register one of these bad domain names, they use it within hours. So there's not a lot of time for someone like Microsoft or Google to load that bad domain into their systems to warn their users about it. But it is helpful to keep your browser up to date for one of these reasons. Okay, Matt, I don't work in cybersecurity. I don't care about detecting this on my network. I just want to protect myself. Well, besides using something like a YubiKey to make it so stealing your credentials doesn't matter as much, and besides keeping your browser and your devices up to date. The other things you got to do is just watch out for stuff like this. This is why I'm making this video, is to just like raise your alarm level up a few notches. I know anytime I've done anything with legitimate banks, like get a mortgage or do my taxes, there's a whole lot of like cringing that I do as a cybersecurity professional of the level of sensitive information that I am just emailing these people via attachments. And it's like every bone in my body doesn't want to do the things that like my CPA wants me to do or my lawyer wants me to do or something like that. So I get that these industries aren't exactly at the cutting edge of cybersecurity, but the least you could do is verify with the person that you think is you're interacting with that they are who they say they are. If you are not expecting the notice that you got via email from the IRS or from your CPA, give them a call. Hey, was this you? I just saw this hit my inbox and we didn't file my taxes yet. Why am I getting this weird thing from the IRS? Just pause on any of these things, especially if the email is trying to get you to rush, threatening penalties, creating a sense of urgency at all, talking about your finances. These are things that scammers do to get you off balance. I'm gonna be honest, in my career, this is one of the only kinds of phishing campaigns that I've ever fallen for personally. Luckily, it was my employer running a phishing simulation. And like I said, I think it's the only one I've ever fallen for that was a phishing simulation, but it was at tax time. It was a very simple email from a spoofed email address that was like the legitimate email address that I was expecting that email from. And it just was a link to download my W-2. I didn't download anything, but I did click the link. And as soon as I clicked it, I knew. But this is a time of year that I was expecting to have to download something off of a weird email like that. I've run the anti-phishing detection and training for companies at other jobs. And so many of my users, my coworkers, would report legitimate emails as phishing from these vendors. The Workdays of the world, the Concurs of the world. A lot of these vendors are generating emails that look like they're out of an older version of the internet. People would look at them and go, well, no, there's no way that my HR department would have legitimately sent me an email that looked like this. These companies are making it harder for us to detect the legitimate scams because their workflows still hinge on emails, and especially emails that look and sound the way they do. So I understand this is super hard. I'll speak for myself. I would much rather a bunch of my colleagues reported phishing emails that were legitimate emails than the alternative, and a bunch of them fell for an actual phishing campaign. So I hope this was helpful. Please share this around so people can see these examples of legitimate phishing campaigns going on right now. Just because Microsoft detected these people does not mean they are stopping. This is only going to ramp up as the April 15th deadline starts to loom. That's why I wanted to get this video out fast. I wrote a summary of this whole intel report on vulnew.com. I'll include the link to that and the actual original intel in the description below. And if you subscribe to my free weekly newsletter, you would have gotten a lot of this intel already. I include write-ups like this every week in a free email that goes out Friday mornings. And if this was helpful, please do all the YouTube things down before. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your mom, whatever the heck. Hit the bell. I see a few of you have even clicked the join button down below. Thank you so much. As I get this channel off the ground, everything helps so much. And for those of you that have joined or are thinking about clicking that join button, let me know what kind of special perks you want. Should I go live more? If so, what you want me to talk about? All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Follow for more cybersecurity news.